Hi, people. I'm Arlene Turner Crawford, and we are in the Burnham Wildlife Corridor, which is approximately, this part of it is approximately 43rd Street and Lakeshore Drive. We're between Lakeshore Drive and the tracks on the west side of Lakeshore Drive at what we call Sankofa for the Earth gathering space. This was a project that was funded and supported by the Chicago Park District and the Field Museum, and in partnership with the Southside Community Arts Center. Year before last, we were anticipating the Year of Public Art, so they asked artists to write proposals for this gathering space. It was an idea that the Park District had and funding that they received to create outdoor gathering spaces for this corridor, and 5 were commissioned. And this was the one I won. I won a spot to create a gathering space. I collaborated with 2 other artists and 2 carpenters, Dorian Sylvain and Raymond Thomas were the other artists on the project, and Kendall Glover and B.K. Ellison were 2 carpenters that were part of our team. Well, when the artist and I talked about the concept and our location, we knew we were going to be in Bronzeville, and this area was a kind of a part of the Great Migration of African American people. They moved into Bronzeville, and this path, now it's called the Burnham Wildlife Corridor, but back in the 30s and 40s, it had another name. I'm not certain what it was, Devil's Pass or Angel's Pass. It was the community had. So we knew we were going to be in Bronzeville, and we wanted to do something in line with the Wall of Respect, because we knew that would be coming up for the Year of Public Art. And our idea was to celebrate significant people in Bronzeville, to make some note of the Wall of Respect, and to look at the personalities and the people and historical people who lived in Bronzeville at the time. So we have a copy of the Wall of Respect in there. Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who started the Southside Community Arts Center, and the facade of the center is there, as well as she started DuSable Museum. Quinn Chappell, Ida B. Wells, Jack Johnson, Emmett Till, Gwendolyn Brooks. The icons and people who lived in this community or who were from the South Side were people we wanted to pay homage to. So the 3 of us came up with as many people as we could remember or think of, and researched on it. And the other part that I liked about it, because we were trying to honor the Wall of Respect, when the idea first came up, we thought about doing a kiosk. And Raymond Thomas, who was on the project as well, used to be in advertising. And he recommended, well, we could do QR codes. So people who come through and walk through and have an app on their phone can learn about all the imagery. So that's what we did. We identified a website for all the images we have, and created a QR code. So, it works. Go up there if you have the app on your phone, you can be taken to a website that will give you more history about it. And that way we created our kiosk. We created a way to get information about the community and about the history of the Wall of Respect and the people who live in this neighborhood, as well as the Great Migration, because that's part of our story in the mural too. And Sankofa, which is the bird. On the outside, it's a mosaic of a bird, and the Sankofa in Africa means go back and fetch it. And it's like a lesson to a community that as you move forward, you need your history, your past, to guide you in the future. So Sapphire and Crystals was created to actually help women artists create more opportunities to exhibit or to create artwork together. And I myself like the idea of a collective and the idea of collaborating with other artists. Dorian and I, throughout the years in Sapphire and Crystal, have kind of been, well, Dorian's background is in set design, as well as she's just a wonderful designer. And it kind of had fallen on her and me and another sister to hang a lot of the shows, because I had a good sense of what went together, and Dorian had a lot of skills in putting things together. So when I had the idea to write the grant for the gathering space, Raymond had also written a grant, and he came to me and Dorian and said, why don't we do things together, because our likelihood of doing it as a team would be a little higher in terms of getting one of the sites. And Dorian just was a perfect person for me to collaborate with, because I've worked with her on a number of other things. And with Sapphire and Crystals, that's kind of like been our, not our charge, but we're not a formal organization, but for me it was an opportunity to collaborate, to work with other artists. And when we do shows together, if we find a venue, one of us might find a venue, we'll put a show together, we'll take it to the group and get together and discuss it. And that's kind of how I'm used to working, and Dorian is too. So it was, when we had the idea, we discussed the kinds of things we wanted to do with the space. The collaboration was how to make it work together. Since the gathering spaces were dedicated about 3 years ago, there have been a number of things that have gone on here. The dedication, where all 5 of them were kind of open to the public, there was a major walkthrough between our space here at Sankofa for the Earth and Sounding Bronzeville. Both of those sites are in the Bronzeville community on the west side of the street. And the sponsor for Sounding Bronzeville is part of the Bronzeville Tourism organization. It's a not-for-profit that helps bring community to Bronzeville and pulls together a business, I think their business district as well. So we've been trying to collaborate on a couple of ideas that would bring stewardship to the area. The Park District is interested in the community taking ownership in this spot, to not this spot, but the whole corridor as a whole. And so that's one of the reasons they kind of reached out to different ethnic groups, because the corridor spans the African American, a Hispanic community, and an Asian American community, as well as, just diversity. So that way, I think the Park District and the Field Museum is letting the city of Chicago kind of own a piece of it, have some responsibility for stewardship. So the organizations that are involved were invited to plan things. And coming up this year in the Night of the Parks, my group is planning a couple of outdoor events. One will include storytelling and music, and 2 will include creating art, fine art, painting and drawing in the spot, and then a nature walk to pick up twigs and sticks and come here and build sculpture. That way we can kind of school the community and the participants about the area, about stewardship for the land and the parks. And I just think it'll fit right well. I mean, Black people have always been in urban areas, we plant gardens and grow things, and there's just an affinity to the outdoors that I'm enjoying, introducing it to people and young people in the area, and they love it. They like being out here. They like enjoying the spot. So the gathering spaces, we're hoping, will catch on. And with the catching on of them, more people will come, and those people who do come will kind of learn a little more about ecology and nature and how to take care of it. That's our goal. Cultural stewardship, that's a good question. I'm like a child of the 60s, and that was an era when Black artists were about our culture. We were about trying to communicate communicate to our community their own beauty, their own importance, and to send them positive ideas. So that kind of is my roots in art and culture. And I believe our culture are the values, the ideas, the art, the creativity that a community has. And in terms of stewardship of it, it's kind of on us. It is it's on you as me as an African American artist, me as a Chicago artist, to be responsible for the culture of my time and my era. So I think having come up through the Black Arts Movement, where it was all about our culture and making a connection for the people in the community to have some consciousness and love and respect for their culture and where they're coming from. And to this time, in this space, it's about where we've come to, what are the authentic things about our art and our culture that speak to who we are as a people. And it's kind of our responsibility to keep that alive and keep that moving forward. And it's going to change depending on the time and space it exists in, but there's always going to be a need for culture bearers to keep it going. Well, I think that our Sankofa for the Earth, even when we were coming up with the idea, we wanted to keep it in line with a cultural concept, with a cultural continuity. The mural, the Wall of Respect, which came out of and was a key element that kind of started the Black Arts Movement. At least in Chicago, it put us on the map as it was in terms of relating to the Black Arts Movement. And so I think while we were coming up with the ideas, we were keeping that history in mind. We were trying to develop something that would continue to be an extension of that history brought forward. That's why, the QR codes kind of brought us into a means of showing the work, connecting it to the internet, which is kind of now, and keeping the information alive through the art. And that's what art is. Once people are gone, what's left is their culture. What's left are the images or the icons or the history or the sculptures that they left to talk about them. So we're hoping that the Sankofa would be a reminder, information about the Bronzeville community, information about the Great Migration, and information about our cultural icons throughout maybe a 50-year period. I would think for young people, what's important to me in relationship to the next generation is that you stay woke, you stay concerned about your power that you have in your lifetime to make change, to affect change, to create something. And I think that our gathering space is a part of some history, but it should be something that hopefully could inspire you to see what you can do for your community, or what you can say about your life that reflects something important to you and something important about yourself in the time you work in. And stay creative, stay positive, always believe in your ability to make art or make music or invent something new or become what it is you conceive of doing with your life. I just think that the thing that helped me with art was feeding my imagination. And as long as you have imagination throughout your life, you can use it to create your future.